Buongiorno and welcome to my podcast, My Way of Thinking, or My What for short, hosted by me, Lee Greeno, here live from the Man Cave every week. Hope you're all doing well and not too depressed at the awful weather and the new lockdown thingy-majiggy whatever's going on. They've started saying this thing about circuit breaker. What the fuck's circuit breaker? What's that all about? They come out with these fancy words, circuit breaker. That was some off a video game when I was a lad. Anyway, enough of that rubbish. Now, my way of thinking is all about us, amazing human beings that all have a story to tell. Those stories can massive. Every goddamn podcast. I'm changing it. Now, those stories can vary massively. But with the guests I'll be interviewing, you will always be able to take a little bit of advice or insight into how extraordinary we can all be. Boom. Remember, 4 rules: 1, no bullshitting; 2, no judging; 3, no negativity; and 4, have fun. Oh, yeah. Now, today I am talking with James, all the way from down south, down Essex. That's a terrible accent of mine. Impression, sorry. Yes, James is, what a guest. You are going to love this podcast. James has been through an awful situation, and he has come out the other end so positive and turned his life around, and is such an inspiration. I really enjoyed speaking to James. Just a great guy. Got on like a house on fire. And I think you're going to enjoy this. So here we go. This is me speaking with James. Okay, so welcome to My Way of Thinking. And today we have a very special guest. It's James. Woo! Welcome, James. You okay?
How's things?
Good. We had a bit of a balls up earlier, didn't we?
A little bit, yeah. You didn't want to do the Zoom from my car. It's your, I was there.
Oh, bless you. I could see the guilt in your eyes.
Yeah, I did feel pretty bad. But thanks for having me, man. Thanks so much.
No problem at all. I know exactly what it's like. And I forget things all the time, so don't worry about it. It was cool. But great to have you on. We're going to get stuck into everything about you shortly. But whenever I start the podcast, I always like to talk about a couple of uplifting things that I've seen in the news, because I read a lot of news. A lot of news is shite at the minute, as you're aware. But there's always some little bits of positivity in there, and it's usually containing animals, because I love animals. You an animal lover, James?
No, not really. I don't mind an animal.
Great, that's great. No, that's fine. Well,
I'm not a cow lover like you.
Well, to be fair, what are you saying about my wife? To be fair, I never used to be as much lover of animals as I am now. Obviously, my kids are grown up. Your kids are still fairly young. My kids are grown up now. And I started off with one cat, and now we've got chickens and everything. So, it's an evolutionary thing.
Yeah,
right.
Good protein every day, though.
Eh? Well, yeah. Don't say that. I have thought about it with the chickens, to be fair. Right. They shit everywhere. Anyway. Now, this is one for you. Now, this was this morning that made me laugh. Eric Smith's mum buried what she mistakenly thought was their beloved family cat, Kitty, in the back garden after spotting a dead animal near their family home. Now, a man has shared his shock after his mum accidentally buried the wrong animal in the back garden. Voiceover artist Eric shared the hilarious tale, which took place over text messages, and he captioned the set of text messages as, "You guys would not believe the roller coaster of emotions I've just been through." And everyone's pissing themselves on Twitter. What basically happened was his mum saw their cat lying by the side of the road. And he was at work, so she thought, "Oh, this is terrible. What are we going to do?" So she thought, "I'll bury it in a nice spot out the garden." And she started texting him and said, "Look, son, I'm really sorry. The cat's dead." He's crying his eyes out. "Oh, no. Oh, come on. No, it's all right. I've dealt with it. He's buried. It's all sorted." It doesn't say the name of the cat, which is a bit of a pain. It might have been Kitty. So anyway, he comes home. You have a little bit of a funeral out back in the garden. You know, love this cat. It was great. Meowed all the time. Blah blah blah. Goes back in the house. Looks out the window, and there's Kitty sitting on the wall. He goes, Mom, what the fuck? What you done? And she'd buried the wrong cat.
Oh.
It wasn't their cat. So yeah, I thought that did make me laugh. And then the other thing, which is pet related, because this does resonate with me. This guy has basically, a man who adopted 2 pet geese during lockdown has started taking them to his local pub wearing nappies. Will you believe this? This guy, he kind of much of a life. Sven Kirby, 34, spotted walking the birds. He called them Norbit and Beep Beep around the streets of Leeds, up Leeds. The admin assistant hand-reared the birds from 5 days old after buying them for £40 each in June. He lets them have free reign in the house. God knows what the house smells like. And he's got a pen in the garden. Sven, who lives on his own, surprise, surprise, said, I know a goose is a strange pet, but it's something different that I've wanted for a while. I could have got a dog, but I work full time. I didn't think that was fair. Geese require much less attention. I love the 2 of them. They're brilliant characters and fun. And the only problem was, obviously, they crap everywhere, i.e. same as the chickens. So what he did, he went out onto a site, I think in America or something, and they do nappies. So
that doesn't surprise me.
They got pictures of these 2 geese wearing nappies. He takes to them.
Can we not get to see the picture?
No, because I can't get the camera around to it.
Oh, that's it.
But this made me chuckle because when we had chickens, we had Darlene and Wendy. My daughter, who's 11, well, she's 12 now, she just turned 12. She wanted to bring them in the house. I said, look, they're a farmyard animal. They're not coming in the house because apparently they can't control their poo, their crap. So I said, no way. Well, she said, well, we can buy them nappies. And I went, you don't buy chickens nappies. Don't talk crap. And now she's seen this, and guess what? She's on eBay looking every day. She's going to nip one. It's a nightmare. I said, "They're not."
Keep your mouth shut, mate. I can't think what was going through this guy's head when he thought, well, I can't have a dog, and he obviously didn't think, well, I could get a cat or maybe a gerbil or a rabbit, and he thought I'm going to get a geese. Like, who the fuck has a geese in their house? Yeah. That's not normal.
I know. He says he works 5 days a week. Well, I'm surprised. He puts them in the boot of his car to take them for walks on Friday evenings, and then pops down the pub. We went to the pub with Norbit and Beep Beep, just stood by my side. I drunk a pint. It was good fun. Everyone loved it.
Mate, they should make a movie out of this guy's life.
I know, yeah. What would we call it?
It'd be like a Family Guy sequel or something crazy.
Yeah. Nappies.
What was this guy's name? Do we know his name?
Yes, Sven. What's his name? Sven. Oh, yeah, Sven Kirby is 34 Leeds. If ever you're up there,
give him a bell.
DM him up on Facebook or Instagram or something.
Oh, I hate geese, mate. They just, like, when I'm playing golf, they're always on a golf course and they're just shit everywhere, like absolutely everywhere.
They're vicious as well. I mean, he's got a picture of them right next to his face. They bite. They don't let go.
So has he got reins for them and all that? Has he got, like, leads?
No. Well, the picture he's got with him, they're just walking side by side, and he's there. It's a bit weird, to be honest with you.
Each to their own, I guess.
The guy don't look all there, to be fair. Anyway. No. Oh, you're a golf man. I'm a golf man. Ooh, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Awesome. We'll have to have a round that after we play pool.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, what'd you play off?
18.
Ooh, not bad. That's a bit of a bandit. And it was not bad. Right then. Okay. So James, this podcast is all about you, what went on, what you've been up to, what you've been through, things like that. We know mental health's a big thing that we want to talk about and cover. So first of all, let's talk about growing up. Whereabouts did you grow up, James?
I grew up down in Hertfordshire, near Essex.
Oh, right. Yeah. You've got the accent, ain't ya?
I've got an accent. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
You've got a bit of it. That's a terrible impression. The reason I say that is my brother-in-law's from Brentwood. So,
oh yeah, Brentwood's nice.
Can hear a bit of your accent from there. And how was growing up? Was it good there? You enjoy it?
Yeah, growing up, do you know what? Growing up was like absolutely perfect. My parents gave me everything. We used to go on like amazing holidays. My dad was a research scientist. My sisters uh, worked very hard, and they were extremely intelligent and well-behaved girls.
Yeah.
So I had a great upbringing. And yeah, I think my parents just loved me,
Yeah,
more than I could ever have asked for,
oh, that's good. That's
Um,
good. Yeah, it's
yeah.
important, isn't it? And I think when you have your own kids as well, that comes through. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Because when growing up, I had hard times, but my mum loved me to bits. And I think that comes out when you have your own kids. And you give them a cuddle, and you're like, everything will be okay. Definitely, God bless them, good old parents. So, what
yeah,
happened? School-wise, what was it? What was school like?
yeah, it was tricky. Like I said, my parents gave me everything, but my sister told me a funny story the other day. Actually, basically, I've
Yeah.
always had trouble behaving. Apparently, when I was in reception, I all the kids had like their lunch boxes in like these like this, and apparently I went and switched all the lunch boxes around, and apparently it caused absolute like havoc in the reception.
Yeah.
And so I was always a little bit of a rascal. So yeah, that gives you a bit of a picture, and then it just kind of carried on through my kind of childhood and growing up, and I just used to quite enjoy it, misbehaving, having a bit of a crack, and then yeah, I got diagnosed with ADHD when I was quite late diagnosis. To be fair, I was about 14.
Right.
Um, I'd started smoking weed as well,
Yeah.
and my mum had literally been in the headmaster's office like every single night
Yeah.
after school when I'd been spent a lot of time in suspension. I was always in detention after school, and yeah, in the end, she was just like, look, she just turned me to the psychologist. She said, there's definitely something not quite right here. And he said, yeah, he's got ADHD, and I had a few different assessments, and he said he's been self-medicating with cannabis, which was interesting. And then, from there, I think, my behaviour just had kind of got worse. I've always been a bit of a wheeler dealer, so I was
Yeah.
like buying like massive bags of sweets, and then like selling them singly in school and that sort of stuff through school,
Yeah.
like Dairy Dunkers and all that sort of stuff, and then just selling them off. And then I got a fake ID, and that was
Yes.
great. I was buying everyone their booze and taking a cut and
Yeah.
uh, getting cigarettes and selling the cigarettes. So I've always been a bit of a hustler, a bit of a wheeler
Yeah.
dealer. And then I started smoking the weed, and then I used to start kind of bunking off school, and at lunch going out for spliffs and coming back stoned, and school didn't really like it.
Yeah.
And then they ended up kicking me out. They expelled me when I was
Yeah.
like 15, just turned 15.
Yeah. And was that it for you? When you got expelled, what happens? I guess sometimes they'll try and get you back in the system at another school, or they'll put you with, now there's people, there's programs that will try and get people who have been expelled and try and, lead them in the right direction. But back then, was it a case of just you're expelled, you're out on your ear and that's it?
Do you know, my mum and dad managed to appeal it, and they let me. They kicked me out, and then they let me come back just to do the exams.
Yeah, right, okay. And how
So
did you get on in the exams?
I actually did quite well because
Did you?
my mum was like making me revise, and like she was sitting there next to me, just like teaching me it all and going through it all with me, and I just hated it, and I just thought, why is she making me do this?
Yeah,
Um, and I wouldn't say I resented her, but I just wanted to be out having a bit of fun,
yeah,
and I actually did quite well in the exams in the end, to be
yeah.
fair. So
So
my mum
the potential was there. Then it's just, I suppose that's what a lot of teachers say. When teachers say he's got a lot of potential, but he can't concentrate, things like that. They say that about a lot of kids, don't they? And I think that's what it is.
Yeah, well, they feel like they have to say something nice, don't they, when they're telling their
Yeah,
parents that their kid's an arsehole, basically.
yeah, but it's difficult at that age. I talk about this time and time again. You don't know what you want to do with life. You don't know where you want to be, and it's confusing, especially if you had ADHD as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was just I just used to enjoy having fun. They took us to France, to Normandy, I think it was, and
Yeah.
I found this shop and it was just full of like bangers, you know, the bangers that you light and then
Yeah,
you throw
yeah,
them
yeah, yeah.
bang. And so we bought loads of bangers, and we were just like letting them off in the corridors. And then one of the lads threw one of the bangers in the headmaster's or the deputy head's room, opened his room, threw it in there, and so we were just letting these bangers off, and that really annoyed them as well.
So I bet the teachers were like, James, he's a little shit.
Yeah, but I was just having fun, you know. Like
Yeah,
I was a teenager. Like I just wanted to have fun, you know.
yeah.
I wanted things to be a little bit of a joke, you know. And I just felt the school was just way too kind of like strict and like regiment, you know. I just wanted
Yeah,
to be a kid, you know.
yeah, yeah. So after school, what happened then? Where did you go then?
I just started kept smoking weed and like drinking, going out drinking and kind of mixing with the wrong kind of people really,
Yeah,
bad influences. And um, there was a guy, an older guy who was just always there. He was in like his 40s and he was always like with us. He had loads of money and like cars and like he was always had loads of drugs and like he was always taking us to like parties and stuff. And it was really cool. I never really thought
yeah,
like it was weird at the time.
yeah.
And anyway, he ended up drugging me and sexually abusing me. Um, and yeah, on multiple occasions, a couple of times, like kidnapped me and took me away and abused me. One time they took me to like a graveyard, him and his nephew, and just beat me up middle of the night, just beat me up and just trying to instill fear into me and threatening my family. They threw like bricks at my parents' house and um, yeah, that all happened in the space of like probably like 2 months or less.
Yeah, so
Um,
it escalated really quick then from you partying and enjoying yourself to meeting this guy and just seriously getting nasty.
yeah, rapidly, and yeah, like that's when things kind of started to go downhill.
Christ. Yeah, I can imagine. So you were with these people then, and obviously, they were nasty pieces of work. Did at any time you think you could get out of it, or was it a case of you just had to go with the flow because you were in too deep, or how did that work?
I was just terrified, man.
Yeah,
Like yeah, like I just remember one time I was completely like I was drugged and I wasn't with it and I was kind of like half with it, half not with it, barely being able to like move and I was in like the passenger seat of the car. I won't go into any details, but there was someone else in the back and he'd like dropped the other person off at this petrol garage, told him to run in there so he could then drive off with me and you know like abuse me. And I just remember being like half with it, kind of knowing what was going on, and not actually being able to do anything, you know. And I can still feel his hands, you know, his rough,
yeah,
dirty, rough hands. But anyway, I don't want to go into loads of
yeah. Of
detail.
course, yeah, of
But yeah,
course.
I was just completely shell shocked, man. Like yeah, and then it was just like someone had dropped a massive atom bomb, you know, on my life, and
God, yeah.
um,
How
things
old
just
were
got
you
real.
at this point, James?
15.
15. God, it's
Yeah,
nothing, is it? 15.
yeah. And so
Gee.
yeah, things kind of started falling apart really from there.
Yeah, yeah. So what happened then? So going down the line, obviously this was horrendous. How long did it go on for?
Like it was over probably about 2 or 3 months in total.
Yeah, God.
He ended up getting sent to prison for some other stuff, and that was literally how it stopped.
Oh God, I bet you were relieved. Well, I suppose you didn't really. I bet you were relieved, but you really didn't know. I suppose you were kind of numb, weren't you? Or what was going on? Or what?
I don't know, man. It's all very hard to explain. But yeah,
Yeah,
mate. I was so relieved when he got sent down, and I knew that I wouldn't have him kind of turning up outside my house or, trying to drag me out of where I lived one time, and
yeah,
to
yeah.
not have that concern.
God.
Yeah, yeah. I was massively relieved, man.
Yeah. So
Um,
but obviously by this time, I would guess you were mixing with the wrong people anyway. So did that lead down another sort of path, I take it?
that I just turned to kind of more harder drugs. You know, I started taking cocaine pretty much every single day. You know, MDMA, going raving, and that was kind of my way of releasing. That was my way of numbing the pain. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
and not having to kind of think and face up to what had happened. You know, and I think what made it worse was that I was in denial about it as well. Like obviously, like being a young man, like
yeah.
this, no one wants to really admit that that's happened, you know, even to themselves.
God,
And so
yeah.
my girlfriend at the time was actually in the car one of the times when it had happened. She was like pretty much sober. She watched it all, and so she knew it had happened, and but I didn't want to admit to myself, and I didn't want to hear her say it. Like I just said, no, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I just didn't want to, you know,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to admit that it happened, mate. I was so embarrassed about it, like that
Mm.
I'd almost let it happen, you know, even though looking back there was nothing I could do. At the time, I thought, why couldn't I have just, you know, beat him up? Why couldn't I have just fought back? Why couldn't I have, you know, took a weapon and kind of knocked him out or whatever, you know? And there was
Yeah.
all of this, like, you know, going around in my head, like, why couldn't I have defended myself? Why couldn't I have stopped it happening? But, you know, like most of the times it happened, you know, the majority I was drugged at the end of the day, but
Yeah.
I still kind of, you know, resented myself for the fact that it had happened, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's difficult enough to process that when you're an adult. When you're a
mm,
15-year-old kid, you haven't got a prayer, have you? You get no chance of trying to process something like that. It's horrendous.
mm. Yeah, so I lost my confidence, my self-esteem, my dignity, my manhood, and I lost respect for myself. You know, I completely lost respect for who I was. And you know, losing those five things was you know that was it. You know,
Yeah.
I was a
Yeah.
complete shell of a man, and I just turned to drink and drugs in a hard way.
Yeah.
And you know, I think for many years I was, well, for probably about 4 years, 4 or 5 years, I was just, you know, I don't really remember having a day that I was sober.
Yeah.
Um,
God.
and you know, I had to feed my lifestyle, my habit, and so I was, you know, selling drugs. Kind of went from selling the cigarettes to selling
Selling
bags of weed,
sweets
and
to selling,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, bags of weed and cocaine and all sorts of things, and um, getting myself in quite a lot of trouble with the law.
Yeah.
Um, just going down a dark road, really, mate. I was.
Yeah. It sounds like you were pushing and pushing and pushing to, you know what I mean, till, I don't know, till you exploded, basically. You were put something out to give, you know what I mean? It was
Mm,
almost, it sounds like almost you were trying to kill yourself by just drinking and taking drugs, you know what I mean? I mean, I don't know if that's, but
I,
it's that.
I mean, yeah, to an extent, I'd just given up. I'd
Mm,
completely given up. I didn't want to. Like when I was sober, I had to start thinking about, you know,
yeah.
what had happened, and I wasn't going to let that happen. I didn't want
Yeah.
that to happen.
Yeah. So as far as the old bill concerned then, what happened there then?
I ended up getting sent down when I was 19, nearly 20,
Yeah.
for robbery. So I'd been like selling drugs for years, and I ended up getting busted, and I was up in court, and police were all over me, and so that kind of revenue stream of, you know, revenue stream kind of, you know, dwindled into nothing, and then still needed to feed my kind of habits and my lifestyle, so I just started robbing people, you
Yeah.
know, bags, handbags, anything. Like it was desperate. It was extremely
Yeah.
desperate, and I made a lot of massive mistakes that, you know, I'll probably regret for the rest of my life. But you know, looking back, and obviously I got busted, and then I got, you know, sent down. I got put on remand, and went guilty, and I got sentenced to just under 3 years. And yeah, looking back, you know, it was getting put away was probably one of the best things that happened to me, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
What
Yeah.
was when would you say was a big wake up call? Was it actually while you were in prison, or was it the day you got sentenced? Because I would guess if you've been wheeling and dealing for 4 years and never gone to prison, I would guess you started thinking, "Hey, up, I'm getting away with this here." You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden you're in court and they go, "Right, 3 years." Was that? How did that feel?
Well, I'd been given a 2-year suspended sentence about a year or so before,
Yeah,
and so I knew that I was like kind of walking on thin ice
yeah,
anyway. Um, and yeah, like I think I had so much drugs in my system. It was probably a good few 3 or 4 days before it really sank in. So I was just telling myself, this isn't real, this isn't real, this isn't real.
yeah,
And then I think one morning I was in HMP Bedford and I just woke up. And it was, I say it was literally like waking up after a 5-year long nightmare to realize that it wasn't a nightmare. Like
yeah,
that whole 5 years had been a complete blur, like I said, been like
yeah,
out of my nut, completely intoxicated for the whole time. And then, one morning I woke up and like I was like, shit, all of that's actually really happened, and
yeah,
I'm now in cell, and I've got to pay the price.
yeah.
But like I said, one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Yeah. In jail then, was that where you started processing it? And is that where, because you could have gone to jail and you could have gone downhill even more, or is that where you went in and then all of a sudden it was like, right, I can get myself sorted in here? Obviously, well, I would guess you can get certain drugs in there, but you started processing it and getting straight in there. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely got sober. I still smoked a little bit of weed every now and again, but on the whole, I got sober, and yeah, it was kind of when I was locked up. I was in Glen Parva up north in Leicester actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was I just started getting really depressed, and like all these like kind of flashbacks and memories from the past, and I was having bad nightmares started coming to me, and I ended up being diagnosed with PTSD and depression,
Yeah.
and put on a load of medication. Um, and yeah, I just had to start really, processing everything that had happened, and like I say, all these memories come back, and it was very hard. It was very, very tough.
Yeah.
But
Was
yeah,
the
like in
prison
terms of
Was the
say that.
prison system very good at helping you deal with that? Did you have therapy in there, or how was it in there?
I've got to say they were pretty good, to be fair. Like I think, yeah, especially with mental health, like they really really were on it. Like
Yeah,
they really really were. I think if anything, they're a bit quick to put people on medication,
yeah,
um, but they're just watching their backs. Like they couldn't really. They probably wouldn't get taken to court for putting someone on medication, but
yeah,
they could get taken to court for not putting someone on
yeah,
medication, and then
yeah,
them kind of, for example, killing themselves. But
yeah,
so they were good, maybe a bit too quick to do that. But yeah, they on the whole they were good. And like I used to have a nurse, the mental health nurse would come and see me once a week, check in, make sure I'm okay. And in one of the prisons, in one of the young offenders, I had acupuncture. So
yeah,
yeah, man. Yeah, I got to go to this room. There was like 4 chairs. It was all dim. Like they'd have like nice curtains over the window, and they'd have these kind of almost like big, massive massage chair things.
yeah.
And there'd be 4 in the room, and it was quite a fit bird actually doing it as well. And she put on this like really relaxing music, and she basically put these needles in our heads,
Yeah.
needles, acupuncture, and then she'd just sit at the front. We'd just be like relaxing,
Yeah.
with stiffy. No, I'm just, um, and she'd just be reading us like a story. Imagine you're walking along the beach,
Yeah.
sand, water in your toes, and all this. And I thought, flipping it, this is amazing that we're getting this support. But
Yeah. Yeah.
painting a pretty good picture of prison, it wasn't.
I
Like
remember.
I did my time, I didn't. It wasn't like an easy ride.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I had a trapped nerve in my neck, and
Mm.
I had to have acupuncture. And I never forget, I was lying face down, and this weren't a good-looking woman. She looked evil. She was about 90, typical. And she started putting she didn't even tell me. She started putting needles in me, and then she goes, "Oh, I'll be back in 20 minutes." And I was literally, I thought, "Oh, I'm not happy." I lifted my head up, and there's like needles here, so you couldn't move. I was just covered in them, and I had to just stay there for 20 minutes. She just pissed off. I was paying God knows how much money. I thought, yeah, you know what you're doing there, love. I don't know if it worked.
Risky, isn't it? Having a 90-year-old putting needles in you.
When she took them out, I thought, make sure you take them all out. I've heard horror stories where they leave fucking one in. Anyway.
Anyway.
As far as...
like,
so your view on prison then is, if other people go to prison, would you say, obviously it's not positive, but would you say that as far as rehabilitation, it is pretty good?
Yeah, I think if you want to change your life, like if you fucked up and you've got sent down and you wanna make things right, you want to change,
yeah,
and you're committed to that,
yeah.
then they'll support you all the way, and I think people can definitely do it. People have got to want to, though.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Oh yeah. I totally understand. But that's a good thing, because I know you might have some people that slag the prison system off, but that's good that you're saying that if you go in there and you want to change and you want to be better, it's there for you, which is a bloody good, which says a lot about the system and the people that work there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I still wasn't in a great place. I mean, I was pissing around quite a lot, to be fair, in there. I was in Bedford, and I heard my abuser was in Peterborough. I'd heard on the grapevine that he was in Peterborough, and I worked out that actually Peterborough was in the catchment area for Bedford. So if I got kicked out of Bedford, I'd get taken to Peterborough. So I just started smashing cells up. They put me down in a seg. Smashed the seg up every day. I was just smashing my cell up and saying, I want to move, I want to go to Peterborough. Yeah. And then they moved me after a few weeks down in solitary, and then I got to Peterborough, and obviously I couldn't get to my abuser. I just couldn't get to him. Maybe he was on a non-swing, I don't know where he was. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and then Peterborough was like a private prison, and it was like a really good prison. And I think, if people in those institutions, especially private ones, that want to change and want to kind of better their lives and want to do like courses and kind of develop their skills or knowledge in certain areas, then there is a world of opportunities, mate.
Wow, that's good. That's good.
Put the work in.
Good. So then you leave prison. Eventually, how long did you serve in the end?
About 18 months.
Okay. And when you came out, so when you came out, I would guess, you've started to get yourself sorted, but you're still not, you've still got a long road of recovery, I would guess.
Yeah, definitely. Came out, and I was obviously still extremely depressed. I mean, there's a lot of twists and turns, mate, but I started kind of drinking again.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it didn't help, obviously. And I got kicked out of one place I was living and put in another place, and then I got kicked out of there, and it's kind of moving around. And anyway, I found a church community in the West Midlands. And that church saved my life. That church saved my life. They just welcomed me in with open arms, and I literally they knew that I hadn't long been out of prison, and I had my trousers halfway down my arse and my hat behind my back, and behind hat backwards, and they just loved me, and they just wanted to support me, and they obviously saw some potential in me, and they just welcomed me in. It was completely non-judgmental.
Were you religious before that, James, or?
To be fair, like, my parents are Christian, and so I did grow up going to church, and I'd always called myself a Christian.
Yeah.
I'd always called myself a Christian. Obviously, wasn't really living like one, but I think it was like. And I'd been going to church every Sunday and through prison. Every single Sunday I'd go to chapel.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I like came back to that. I found that church. It hadn't long started up, and it was a complete lifesaver.
Yeah.
But it was a hard road. You know, I mean, I gave my life to Jesus, became a Christian.
Yeah.
And that was massive. Felt like a massive kind of weight had been taken off my shoulders, but I was still dealing with a lot. You know, I was still, you know, obviously I still trying to process all the trauma, and you know, I was still extremely depressed. I didn't really have anything going for me. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But
that gave you a base. That gave you a base to start.
Foundations.
Yeah. To start, you knew you could go there, and it was a safe place, and people, you know, loved you and cared for you. And I suppose that sort of, you start thinking, well, actually, that's a safe place, and that you can build on that, I would guess.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, one of the biggest things I learned was, I mean, I read it in the Bible, but it applies to everyone, whatever religion or whoever you are. It said, surround yourself with wise people and you become wise. Surround yourself with fools and you suffer harm. And like, you know, I'd been in my, you know, growing up, you know, I'd been surrounded by wise people, and you know, everything was all good. And then I started surrounding myself with fools, and you know, I suffered, you know, catastrophic harm. And then so I realized, you know, I need to you know, change the people that I'm surrounding myself with, and I think that was definitely the first step.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's a few twists and turns. I actually ended up going back to prison because I got recalled. I got recalled for bad behaviour, so I missed a couple of appointments. They sent me back to do like the last 9 months of my license.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then came out. I don't usually tell people that because it's all just like too much information. But anyway, and then came back to the church, and but this is when I was at a very dark place now. Yeah, I was at rock bottom, and I was sleeping over 18 hours every single day. So this is why at the beginning, when we were talking before we pushed record, and I was saying I need to make up for all those hours that I was sleeping.
Yeah.
And I was just extremely depressed, and whenever I was awake, I was just desperately trying to get back to sleep. I did not want to face the day. Like curtains were drawn the whole time. I wasn't eating anything. I wasn't talking to anyone. You know, I'd still go out and get some alcohol and go and drink that when I had some money. And you know, it was just a terrible time, mate.
And it's easy. It's so easy, isn't it, to do it and just get into a rut of keep doing it. But I suppose there's that light bulb moment that just says, you know, you either stop it now and change, or, you know what I mean, you continue. What was that? What triggered that, do you think?
So for me, it was you know, a massive blessing. I heard my pastor speaking about forgiveness, and I looked back at my life, and I thought, is there anyone I need to forgive? And I realised that, you know, since the abuse, my life had gone downhill massively, and it had a massive hold on my life. And so, I realised that, you know, I needed to take back control of my life, where I'd completely lost control. And I realised, you know, I needed to forgive him, you know, at the end of the day, for what he did to me. And so I forgave him from the bottom of my heart. I said a prayer and forgave him, and just took the pain away, mate. Like it really did take the pain away, and all that resentment, that anger, that hatred that I had for him just completely disappeared. And I was able to, you know, that really strengthened me, you know, that I'd spent, you know, every single day ever since it had happened, just hating on this person. It was just eating away inside of me like a cancer. You know, Martin Luther King put it amazingly. He said, drinking, what did he say? Hating on, something along the lines of, hating on someone is like drinking poison and hoping it'll kill them. Yeah. Something along those lines. But
I know what you mean.
It's so true, man. It's so true. You know, like all that resentment, and that wasn't affecting him. You know, me hating on him wasn't affecting him at all.
It's affecting you. In a way, he's still abusing you in a way, because that hate is turning in, you know, it's ruining your life. So he's still winning. And I've said this before, where, you know, people who I mean, yours is on a massive scale, but people who really don't get on with like family members and don't speak to them for years and years and get really wound up about it. You know what I mean? There's a massive thing that you said there about forgiveness, isn't there? You know, people should listen and think, wow, you know, forgiveness will, and then it's on them then. You've forgiven them, it's on them then. Let them, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Wow.
for sure. And yeah, so I found massive freedom from that forgiveness. And like I said, it was just, yeah, I was able to start growing. So, you know, I kind of decided, right, I'm not going to suffer from PTSD anymore. I'm going to turn this into post-traumatic growth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I started going to the gym. I gave up the alcohol and the drugs. And I started going to the gym every single day. Became a bit of a gymaholic. But it was amazing. Like it was a massive lifestyle change. Obviously, I still wasn't really doing a lot, but I had this vision for Everse, which is obviously what I'm doing now and what I'm wearing. And so I kind of started running with that. And then yeah, I just started really kind of building bridges and just kind of putting bricks down and just trying to build my life back up, and I think obviously my faith's been massively important in that.
You say about Everse. Tell us a bit about Everse, James.
So yeah, Everse is a lifestyle brand, ethical lifestyle brand. Our mission is to help destigmatize mental health and reduce the UK statistics. So we sell ethically made, vegan-friendly T-shirts. These are campaign.
Let's have a look. What's that say? T-shirt. Break the. What's it say? Break the chains. Oh, I like
that. So this is
that. Send us a link. I'll buy one of them.
Yeah, well, they're not launched yet, but I will do when they are. This is about breaking the chains of stigma. And so, yeah, these are campaign T-shirts, and then we donate a percentage of the T-shirts to our CIC. I set up CIC, and the CIC is basically in charge of putting on charity events to turn that money into more money, raise money for mental health charities working on the front line, and educate people on different ways to improve their mental health.
Wow.
So the last one we had a psychologist speaking a bit about positive psychology, looking at the links between negativity and depression. We had a nutritionist speaking about obviously the links between what we eat and drink and our mental health, because some people don't know about what you're putting in is coming out, and how detrimental some foods can actually be to our well-being. And then we had a motivational speaker and a prize draw and stuff. So it was really good. And so that's kind of the vision moving forward. We'll be sharing different people's stories as well, kind of trying to inspire hope into people in different situations, and just really trying to do some good in the world, and try and make a difference.
Yeah, brilliant. And of course, you've got a good lady now and a nice family. How long have you been together? You've been together a long time, or are you married?
No, I'm not. I'm
Why
engaged.
not?
I'm engaged. I'm engaged.
We dropped you in there. Dropped you in it there.
Well, no. We are engaged. I'm happy. I'm very happy. But yeah, like back to the mental health stuff. It's been 3 and a bit years now since I gave up alcohol.
All right.
I've now been off of my antidepressants over 1.5 years. Currently trying to come off the final medication that I'm on, and just tapering myself off of that slowly, just because my body kind of relies on it to function.
Yeah.
So this is all in the space of 3 years. I'm also nearly two years for a university degree as well, studying business. And I've got a day job, work 2 days a week in my day job. So when you look at 3.5, 4 years ago, I was sleeping literally 18 hours a day in bed 24 hours a day, to where I am now. God has really blessed me massively, and it has been hard work. Of course, I've had to put work in, but ultimately what I think I'm trying to say is, anything is possible,
Yeah.
and no matter what situation you're in, there's always hope, and just I hate the idea of people running out of hope, and completely losing hope, and that I think that's devastating. And so, whether it might be raining today, but the sun might be out tomorrow, and that hope is what keeps us going. And so yeah, that's just a little word of encouragement.
It sort of reigns back to what we started at the start of the conversation about school and the fact that you did all right at school when you tried, and the teachers, probably knew you had that potential. And it says a lot. I bet there are a lot of people who've got that potential, and it's just wasted. What a waste. You see like homeless and things like that, these brilliant artists that are homeless and things like that. If they could just, what you've done is turned all that badness into goodness, and look at where you are now. You know what I mean? But you do have to put the work in. You've put that work in. You know what I mean? And you do have to do that, but you can't. You're such a positive, like you say, for people to look at you and see how you've turned that around, because it's such a waste, isn't it? If people can waste that talent.
I actually say now, like I look back and I say all of that trauma, all that prison time, everything, apart from some of the mistakes I made, but I've got to look at that the abuse and all that sort of stuff as a positive now, because only for me, from my situation, because it's made me who I am today.
Yeah,
it's made me into someone that I'm proud of, and that I am. That I'm proud of, and at the end of the day, like it's happened, and I can't change that it's happened, But now, now I've shared my story, at the Bank of England, the Foreign Office, Conservative Conference, and
and now
radio
with me,
various times, and with you, and now I'm able to use that, and kind of like I say, inspire hope into people, who have also been through traumatic times, and who are in desperate situations, And we were talking at the Foreign Office last week about the links between alcohol addictions and mental health, and that I had some, there were diplomats, saying that we're struggling, like drinking is part of our culture, and anyway, I was able to kind of share some insights and some wisdom, and obviously share my story. And I had people saying, I'm going to make serious changes to my life now, my lifestyle, after hearing what you've said. And for me, like thinking that, like being able to do that, being able to get people to open up, starting conversations, hopefully being able to help change some lives, that is the biggest blessing in the world. That literally is the biggest blessing in the world. And so all of that shit I went through now is history, and I'm turning my victimhood into a victory,
How old are you, James?
I am 27.
Oh, so you're just starting your journey, really. You've got such a wise head on your shoulders. You know what I mean? Where you are now, you will only get, you'll only get wiser, and things will expand over your horizon as you're getting older. You're very ahead of your years, aren't you? You've really give it some to get where you are.
It's just been full throttle, the last few years.
Yeah.
It's just been up and up and up, and I just pray like every single day, for more wisdom, and that God keeps holding me up, and Jesus keeps walking with me, and I've just got faith, and I've just got to keep putting the work in, put the hours in, and ultimately, if I can help save one life, then it'll all be worth it. It'll all be worth it.
Definitely. And if you had to give someone a bit of advice, maybe someone's out there thinking it's not worth carrying on, or they're in a real dark place, what sort of advice do you think you could give them?
I think going back to what I said, literally anything is possible, if you can try and put your mind to it. And at the end of the day, like if I couldn't do it, like, you can do it too, I seriously believe that, I was in a desperate situation, and I've done it, and I think that like things that helped me were changing the people that I was surrounding myself with. One, number two, obviously forgiving my abuser, but actually looking at what's the underlying issue, what's causing the pain, this desperation, the mental health, whatever it is, So dealing with the underlying issue. Number 3, I'd say, was obviously exercising. That's massively helpful for me, going to the gym. Number 4 was watching my diet. And then, number 5 would probably be, just trying new things, just trying getting out there. Like, I picked golf back up, and, I started trying to cook and, it was a great way to meet new people as well. So, and obviously my faith, my faith would actually have to come number 1, but, people, I just think, there's, like you said, everyone's got potential, and just cling on to hope, because tomorrow could be better.
Definitely. Now, I always ask my guests for a favourite, which you forgot earlier. Now, I always say it can be a book, TV, film, anything, just that's available for other people. So if you give them a recommendation, they can go and buy it today or watch it today. Have you thought of a favourite, James?
No, it's like straight away, it's Shoe Dog, which is Phil Knight. So Shoe Dog is the story of Nike. So it's the literally the whole story of Phil Knight, how he started Nike, like from, I don't know, 50s or whenever it was to now. Yeah. And I just find it incredibly inspiring, for entrepreneurs, like myself, who, aspiring entrepreneurs and, businessmen and women. It's a good read, a really, really good read. I loved it.
Oh, I've never heard of that. I'll give that a read. It sounds interesting. Do you do a lot of reading now, James? Do you get time?
I've got a book on economics here that I'm reading for uni.
You wouldn't recommend it though, would you?
No, I'm not gonna skim reading, should I say? Yeah. I'm also reading Elon Musk's book at the moment.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm reading like 1 page a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't get much time to read.
Good stuff. And if people want to get in contact with you or look at your brand and everything, have you got like a website or any links?
Yeah, the website's everse.co.uk, and it's Everse is EEVERSE, and then the Instagram and Facebook is Everse UK.
Cool.
The t-shirts will be available hopefully in the next month to buy. And I already said about what we're doing.
Yeah. And it's a totally new. Is it? How long's the company been going? Not that long then.
No, we're just about to kind of relaunch. Kind of changed all the brand guidelines and everything, and just about to kind of relaunch. It's evolved quite a bit, and so it's almost like a fresh start for us, really. So do show your support. Just give us a follow. Give us a share, and
definitely. Well, I'll put all the links in all the social media and all that kind of thing, so we'll make sure we spread the word.
Love that.
But look, thanks ever so much for coming on today. I know you're so busy, James, and it's been difficult trying to link up. But it's such an amazing story. You've done so well, and it's so positive for other people, mate. You know what I mean? And like you say, if it just helps one person, you've got to be happy with that.
Definitely. Well, thank you, man. You're the one, sharing people's stories through your platform, and giving people the opportunity to speak up about these things. So well done. Thanks to you.
Well, I'm just here to listen to the brilliant stories. Now, what I would say is, if you get time next year, come back on, tell us how Everse getting on, let us know the second part of the story and everything that's happening, and we'll definitely go for a game of golf as well. Yeah,
definitely. I'll be up for that. Yeah.
You'll probably whip my arse. You'll whip my arse, to be honest with you.
I was just about to say that, and then I stopped myself, and I thought, actually,
I'll get in practice.
Yeah.
All right then, mate. Well, look, thanks ever so much for coming on, and we will speak to you again soon.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you so much.
Take care. God bless, James. Bye. So that's it. Massive thanks again to James for joining me all the way from down Essex, for joining me today, and also for you for listening. That doesn't even make sense. Make sure you follow the podcast, because coming up over the next month, there are some more extraordinary interviews. The podcast will be streaming on the usual platforms, including iTunes and Spotify. So please leave a rating on there and subscribe. To keep up to date, follow Facebook, which is My Way of Thinking Podcast, and also Twitter, which is My Way of Thinking with a 3 on the end instead of a G. Every week, I also put the whole conversation on YouTube so you can see this pretty beautiful face. Just put My Way of Thinking Podcast, and that'll come up on YouTube. And finally, if you want to get in touch or you think you may be a great guest or you know someone who may be a great guest, then email me. The email's mowat.podcast@aol.com. Phew, a lot to go through. I hope you enjoyed that podcast. It was pretty phenomenal. There's lots more podcasts coming up that are quite remarkable. So make sure you keep listening in. If you know people that enjoy it, tell them to. That's enough for tonight. Until next time, God bless. Enjoy your circuit breaker, whatever that means. And take care. Until next time. Speak soon.